Now I want you guys to leave down in the comment section below which key you would take. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're comparing a 2021 Toyota Supra to a 1995 Toyota Supra Turbo. Yes, it's the bad boy, it's got the Targa top, it's got the manual transmission, absolutely insane, way cooler than this car. But regardless, we're still gonna compare them. A huge shout out and thank you to Supra Chiropractic that is owned by Dr. John Clayton for providing us with his Supra. Check out his YouTube channel in the description below, but let's just get right into the video. Now let's go into the hoods of both of the Supra, well, the BMW and then the Supra. Anyways, starting over here with the 2021 Supra, we have the turbocharged inline 6 that goes to an 8-speed automatic transmission. In terms of power outputs, it's 382 horsepower and then 369 pound-feet of torque with a 0 to 60 time of under 4 seconds. Now, coming over here to the original Supra, again, inline 6, it is turbocharged. It goes through a manual transmission, and then in terms of power outputs, it's 320 horsepower and then 315 pound-feet of torque with a 0 to 60 of about 4.5 seconds. Let's go over the front end of both of the vehicles. We'll start over here with the newer generation Supra. So you can see that the hood is absolutely massive, just like it is on the original Supra. Yes, we've got all the fake vents all throughout the front end just for the accenting. It's all crazy. And then if you look at the headlights, the actual shape of them, it's a little bit smaller than the older Supra, but especially here from like the side profile, you can see that it kind of has like a similar look, especially with the front end shape. Now this does come off to like more of a point than it does on the original Supra, but yeah, I mean, they still look pretty similar overall. And then you've got all the modern stuff. So you got like the parking sensors there, and you've got this crazy front splitter at the bottom. So yeah, it looks a little bit more aggressive, but the original one looks absolutely insane. And the most important thing is it doesn't have a bunch of fake vents all over there. I think that's really cool with the blacked out Toyota logo, and then the headlights, that's just such a classic look. But seeing these two next to each other, especially since they have similar wings there in the back, looks crazy. Now let's quickly go over the tire and wheel setup, and then after that we'll go over the rest of the stuff here on the side. So 17-inch wheels on the original Supra, 19-inch wheels here on the new one. Same thing in the rear, same thing in the rear, so 17s, 19s. 235mm for the tires here in the front, 255mm for the tires here in the front, 255s for the rear, 275s for the rear. So you got a little bit bigger of a wheel and a little bit more girth on the tires here on the new Supra compared to the old one. And then look at the brake calipers. You got the same little like superscript right there. And then obviously you got like the more like open design here, whereas this you got like the more classic look with the wheels, because again, these are the original wheels, and that's that part of the side. So now actually coming down to the rest of the side, look at the difference in the mirrors, like how big that mirror is compared to what's on the original Supra. It's absolutely crazy. And look at that. Pretty cool to see that venting right there. And the fact that it actually goes to the wheel and it's open, yeah, you can see that you got real venting, and then we got our fake venting here on the new one. But we do get a side skirt here on the new one, which looks pretty neat. And then look at the wings, which this is gonna be the most exciting part. Now I want you guys to leave down in the comment section below which key you would take. If it was me personally, this key right here. Now I know it doesn't look as intricate as the other key, but it happens to be to a much cooler car, just saying. But you can see the difference in the keys. I mean, just with over 20 years, it's just ridiculous. We've got our like Toyota, BMW key thing here with all the functions, and then you've got your regular old school key for the Supra, which just cool to see the difference. Now this is probably the most iconic angle of all time, just seeing both of these, both Supras, part of the Big Wang gang, just saying. But you can see the differences here with the rest of the rear end. So you've got the signature lights here on the back of the original Supra, which they could have done this on the new Supra. You know, they could have done a bunch of like LED circles, but they decided to do this, which still looks really cool, but it's just not like the original. Again, you can see like the blacked out logo. You've got all the font. By the way, this does come with like the Supra badge there in the center, but I've debadged the whole car because it looks a little bit cleaner without all the badges. And then notice that you get dual outlet exhausts, whereas on the original Supra, you just have the one big one there on the side. And then other than that, it's just cool seeing these both next to each other. Now we're gonna start with the back of the old Supra, then we're gonna go to the back of the new Supra. And if you're wondering how to get in the back, you just have to have the key there, and then that will, you just have to twist it to the side, and then notice that the trunk will, or I should say the hatch will actually pop open. It's actually pretty heavy to get up, but you guys are gonna be amazed at just like how original spec'd out this one is. Still got the tag right there, which is just absolutely insane. And then you can see these are all the points at which the Targa top would be held here in the back if you did want to take that off, which, I mean, that's like a huge plus over the new Supra, is the fact that you can take off the top on this one, whereas the new one you can't. But yeah, you can see the cargo floor is actually pretty high up, and most importantly, brings up the whole wing there, and that's probably why it's so heavy, is because of the wing on the back. But it's just a pretty cool look seeing the hatch popped up like that. Now, since this is a car from 2021, even though it's 2020 when this video is being made, this car's from the future, just saying. But everything's a little bit easier nowadays, and popping open the hatch, you can see that this whole system's a little bit easier. It has the hydraulic struts, which just like fly right up, so it makes it really light. I don't have any tag back here. I have a front license plate cover that I'm never going to use, but the storage space is a little bit better, and it's cool seeing the wing, but it's not as well integrated, because you can see that right here it's just kind of like hangs off the side, whereas that was fully on the hatch because it was meant to be like that from the factory. This still looks really cool, but it's just not as integrated as on the old one. Now this is the most exciting part, is we get to open the door and see the interior of the original Supra, and it's actually really, really nice. So the door panel itself is fully padded, and they've got like this leather padding here all along the side. You can see automatic windows. Remember, this is from 1995. And then looking at the seats here at the front, really interesting how they look. They actually have like these kind of sporty bolsters on them, but just the overall look of the seats is really interesting. The tan interior actually goes really well with the black. And then yes, 3-pedal layout going on right there. But the one thing I do notice is this car almost seems like it's lower than the new one. Oh man, this is really exciting. This is probably the most exciting startup that I've ever had in my life, because this is just such a cool car. Starts right up from 1995, starts right up, and the AC works. Oh my gosh, that is so loud. Now here is the steering wheel on the original Supra, and this thing actually feels really cool. Like, it has this like special feel to it, and definitely has this like heavy weighted feel to it as well. And then you notice you've got the stock for the windshield wipers, and then you've got the stock for the lights over there. You've got the Toyota cruise control that really hasn't changed, I mean, at all since the 1990s, let's be honest here. But yeah, just like the overall steering wheel, super iconic, and that look over the hood. Ooh. Now here in the center, you can see that you've got the fuel gauge right there. You've got the RPMs front and center, which is most important. And if you're wondering, I've got the door open, so it's telling me that I'm crazy. But you can see over on the other side, you've got the speed, which goes up to 180 miles an hour, and then the turn signal indicators on both sides. But there's that little part. Now this is pretty cool. So the odometer is actually right there, and you can see this car has over 100,000 miles on it. The owner has kept this completely stock, but they've also driven it, so 100% props to them for driving the car. But you can see everything here is like in mint condition, and yes, old school 1990s. You do get climate controls though, which is pretty cool, so still kind of like modern in that sense. That radio, man, that brings back some memories right there. Traction control off, that's probably the most important control in that little area, but there's kind of like that little part of it, which is most modern cars can have the infotainment systems here, but obviously it's from 1995. But again, it's just cool like how this is like all centered towards the driver. Now this is the 6-speed manual transmission, and the clutch itself, by the way, if you guys are wondering, so pressing it in, the clutch actually is like the perfect weighted feel to it. And then in terms of the shifter with the throws, it's like absolutely perfect. So they're like not super short, but then they're not super long either. It's really easy to feel what gear you're in, and the throws are absolutely perfect. Then you got a little nice e-brake right next to that, and you got a little coin holder right there, and then the center console with the leather on it. And then we've got the glove box over here, which it's actually a good size. Like, this is a practical car, and you've got an airbag there, so it's got safety stuff too, guys. And this is one of the biggest differences compared to the new Supra, is the fact that we've got back seats here. So yes, this is a 4-seater, but as you can see, you have to sacrifice your legs to sit back here. So if you want to sit in the back of the Supra, you just got to give up your legs and you'll be good to go. And the last really cool thing here is you can see the split for this Targa top. So you can see that's where you would actually remove the top here, and it's cool to see all that on the sun visor. But the headliner here is actually really soft in the Supra, and well, it's everything for the top. So coming here into the new Supra, we've got the fancy tech. So like right here, you can see you've got the power folding mirrors, all that kind of stuff, but that's not really that important. The one thing you will notice is the door panel is actually not as nice as the old one, because this is just kind of like really crappy, plasticky kind of feeling stuff. And the leather is just not nearly as smooth as what's in the original Supra. So I feel like we went downhill in a sense. But you can see you've got the controls for the windows right there. And then the seats, yep, they do look a little bit sportier. a lot cooler, but I mean, you'd hope so because it's a much more modern car with the look of the seats, fully power adjustable, all that kind of stuff. And we've only got 3 pedals on this one, so kind of sad day with that. Now let's start her up. Ooh, kind of make some popples, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Here's the steering wheel in the new Supra, and well, you can see that it's modern, it's got smooth leather, you've got the cool stitching on it, paddle shifters there on the back of the steering wheel. Got the little cruise control on that side. It does have adaptive cruise control, so you got some cool tech there. And then you got your voice command controls, all that kind of stuff. And then you guys have seen my Supra review, so you guys kind of know about the gauge cluster, how it's cool. And then when you go into like the sport mode, it gets a little bit more aggressive. The valves also open up, so it kind of gets louder. And you guys will get an exhaust clip later on in the video with both of the vehicles. And then the cool thing is the bars for the fuel gauge and then also for the temperature gauge, just pretty neat. And look how hot it is outside. Look what I'm doing for you guys. Here's the center infotainment system, and well, we have a backup camera on the new one. And yeah, you can see that you got the cool little trajectory lines on it, all that kind of stuff. And hi John, how you doing? Anyways, you can see with the rest of the touchscreen, it's gonna be pretty much BMW-ish, and I don't know why it's not going to the rest of the touchscreen. There we go, magic. Anyways, you can see with the rest of the touchscreen, everything's pretty cool. You do have the Apple CarPlay, which is pretty neat as well, and the navigation works really solid. Touch response time on it's pretty good, but again, this isn't as important as like the driving with the car. Now down here you can see all of the vents all across, kind of how the dash looks, and then you can see you've got the presets for the radio, you've got the dual zone climate. So I mean, we've got 2 climate zones and heated seats. Didn't really see that happening over there on the old one, just saying. And then you actually have wireless charging up there. Here's the shifter. So you can see the shifter for the 8-speed automatic, and it does have the manual shift function on it as well. And then this is for the infotainment system, and this person is totally drooling over the car. Look at that. People freak out over the Supra so much. Anyways, you can see you've got the auto stop start, your sport mode, your stability control as well, the safety systems, parking sensors, and then the parking brake, and then all carbon fiber in that area. Oh, and by the way, we don't really get a center console in here, even though we got one in the old Supra. Just saying, Toyota, why did you do that to us? But you can see the glove box about the same size. And again, this just doesn't seem as nice as the old one. And nope, no back seats, just a 2-seater in this one. And then finally, finishing up top, we don't have a Targa top or anything like that. So Toyota, if you're watching this video, give us a Targa top like what was in the original Supra, because it'd be so much cooler here to have a Targa top. Feel pretty quick?
Yes. So this feels, yeah, you get a similar kind of a pull to it for sure compared to the 1995 Supra. It actually feels really similar, especially with the shifting and everything. Get a little bit different of a turbo feel to it. When we do the video about the 95 acceleration, you can kind of, I guess it kind of feels like it spools up, you know, more through the acceleration, but it might just be due to the twin scroll on this. But other than that, it just feels so smooth. You don't get the clunkiness that you get with the manual of the other Supra. But no, this one feels really good. You get a good pull on the shifts. Yeah, I guess I don't really miss the manual too much. I mean, I do like the feel of a manual, but this isn't bad at all. I really enjoy this. It's like you said, with having 2 hands on the wheel, it does make me feel like I can drive more attentive and enjoy the ride as well, for sure. Well, as far as the drivability of the 2021 Supra compared to the 95 Supra, the thing I like about this is it doesn't feel like it beats you up as much compared to the 95. Sitting so low in the 1995 Supra is, you feel like you're on the ground, and so you feel every single bump, and it does have a sport suspension for being a 95, but compared to today's technology in the 2021, is that you can still feel the road, but it's so soft, it doesn't you know, the impacts aren't as hard at all, and it's just so smooth. I mean, the steering and everything, I don't get any kind of juddering from the shocks at all. Just so smooth. Definitely could be a daily driver for anyone willing to do that. And then the accelerations, just amazing, amazing.
So I am the idiotic 2021 Supra owner. My car's not nearly as cool, but I still have to give you guys kind of my impressions on the older Supra, kind of how I feel like it compares to the newer Supra. And here's what I have to say. With the manual transmission and with how the steering is on this car and just how violent the acceleration is, this car is so much more engaging compared to the new Supra. The new Supra is so refined, it's so smooth, it's just like a full-blown luxury car, whereas this one is like an in-your-face, engaging sports car where it actually has this kind of like fear factor to it, if that makes sense. When you drive this, you actually really have to pay attention or you could crash the car. I'm serious. Even though it only has 320 horsepower, it is just an absolute animal. It's just has this raw, engaging analog feel to it. And so compared to the new one, no, it doesn't feel as quick. It feels just slightly slower, but it's so much more engaging. It's just, it seems like it's just a cooler car from a driver's perspective. So if you want a driver's car, if you want a car that's gonna make you nervous, that you're gonna get excited to drive, then this is gonna be the car. If you want something that's a little bit more luxury, that is a BMW in Supra clothing, then you get the 2021 Toyota Supra. Now we've got the pro driver here in the Supra showing us how it's done. Yep, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to drive this thing. This thing is fast. It is rightfully quick. Oh my goodness.
So kind of the difference that I've seen with the 2020 versus the 1995, I guess as far as interior goes, I know that the 95 feels like it has a little bit more openness to it. The C-pillars on the 2020, 2021 Supras are a little bit more closed off, wherein it feels just a little bit more tight. And then with this car, a big thing too is you can control, you know, purely what you're doing in the car as far as the shifting goes, the downshifting goes, and the use of the clutch. And so yes, it does make it a harder car to drive and to kind of, you know, be a part of, but I think all in that adds to the driving experience of the vehicle. And I think it's something that it would be very hard for Toyota, BMW to be able to manufacture that again, to create the exact same feeling in a new Supra, just like it is here in this car. And I think that's why this car is so sought after compared to the 2020 Supra. But I think the 2020 Supra has done a good job in trying to get as close as it can to this, but also incorporating the use of technology. And so I love both cars. Both cars are great, and I think they're just going to continue to make an amazing image for Toyota in the future and for years to come.
Now that is going to sum things up for our comparison video with the new Supra compared to the old Supra. And obviously I do have to pick a winner, and this isn't because I'm a fourth generation fanboy or anything like that. I just think this car, because it has the Targa top, because it has a manual transmission, even though it's not as quick as the new one, even though its exhaust isn't as loud or as crazy, it's still just such a cool, fun car. And if Toyota would capture the essence of that car more in the new one, that would be absolutely insane. The new car is still really cool, but the old one's just a little bit cooler. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to Supra Chiropractic for providing us with his Supra. Again, check out his YouTube channel in the description below. I'll see all of you in the next video.